Today I'm going to be tying up the orange and gold shrimp, one of the most popular Irish shrimp flies there are, and one that's in almost every fly angler's box. So I'm going to use yellow thread as I'm going to be using a part gold body. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add on yellow oval tinsel underneath. I'm going to run that down, and this is going to create my tag later on. Okay, I'm on a single hook today now, just a wee bit more adaptability for catch and release rivers. I'm going to just bring that yellow thread just past the barb and then bring it back up, and then just a few turns will create my tag. And I'm using a small hook, so this is I think it's a smaller, extra small gold oval. Okay, and about 4 or 5 wraps there until you get to the straight part of the shank. And then a few turns to secure it in. Now it's very important for this pattern in particular to bring that access the whole way along until probably about 2/3 up the body. And the reason being is you want a really flat body for the tinsel that we're using today. Okay, then I'm just going to trim off my excess. And this is not an original, but I like to add on a little bit of flesh, so 2 or 3, probably 2 strands is more than enough of gold crystal flesh. And that's going to be in the core of the tail, or you can add it on after the tail, it's up to yourself. Okay, so just run those down. I'm going to cut those to what I think will be roughly the length of the tail, or a little bit shorter. Trim off my excess up here, and then we're going to use golden pheasant for our tail. Okay, so what I do is, my golden pheasant, I just expose the tip, bring all the other flavours to the side. Okay, and there is a detailed video of this on the channel, I'll put it in the description. I wax my thread, and then I tie in at that tip. And again, for neatness of the body this time, I'm going to run that thread right up to just past the centre of the shank. And then trim off my excess. I'm just going to bring that thread back up. Quite wide turns, but I'll probably get away with it here with the tinsel that I'm using. Okay, so now the double golden pheasant, I just wet my fingers usually. I just draw them back. Okay, and then just start to wrap. Okay, putting those fibres back after every wrap. Okay, I'll probably get 3 wraps out of this one. Depends on how you fish it. You might want 2, you might want a little bit more than 3. Okay, 3 will do me, and there's only a wee bit of excess. So now I secure that in. Okay, and then I get the stalk, and again just continue to create a flat body, being consistent with that stalk. So making sure that it's running along the same section of the shank. It's not at the top and then twisting around to the bottom. Okay, and then I trim off my excess. Okay, now what you can do, depending on if you're using a double, single or a treble, you might want to fix that tail to make sure that's well spread out, but it's a lot easier on the single. I can see that's nicely spread out now anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this thread down, and I actually tie on top of the golden pheasant. Okay, so what this does, it means golden pheasant stock very weak, so it means you get a more secure hold, but at the same time it actually splays the fibres a bit better too, so I can pulse it better if I'm twitching the flies in low water, for example. Okay, and I'm just continuing to make that body as smooth as possible. So for the body, you're going to use round oval gold. You can use flat gold if you want as well, actually. This is the original. Okay, and I'm going to tie that in up to the tail, and then I'm going to bring the thread about 3/5 up the body. But while I do that, I'm going to make sure that I have a very level body. A wee tip that I actually only heard recently: if you want an even more level body, or an easier way to do it, is actually put super glue and wrap on top of it. But we're not going to do that today. It should be okay, hopefully. I'm using quite fine gold as well. So the first wrap's the hardest one. So once you get the first wrap in, it sets the tone for the rest of the body. Okay, as you can see. And unfortunately, this is the only gold oval I actually could find around the desk. Probably would have went for a bit bigger, but I think it'll work out well. Okay, so just continue to wrap that on. It also gives a very, it also gives a bit of weight to the body too. This kind of one compared to the flat, because you'll be varnishing it as well. Okay, so I'm going to leave it about there because I want to make sure there's enough room for the head. Okay. What I want to do is get our varnish, and for convenience I'm using this Rimmel 60 seconds. It just dries quicker. It means you don't have to take your fly off and do in batches. I'm just going to do a wee light coat. Gives a wee bit of weight to the fly, but also, and most importantly, it gives durability to this kind of body. Okay, just one coat's fine. If you want to make it extra shiny, you could do 2 or 3 coats. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm actually going to whip finish off and change my thread. Because we're going to have a front black body. Okay, so that rear body is now dry, and I'm added on black thread. Okay, so the black thread would show obviously if you had any slippage at the rear, which is why I always use yellow. Okay, so now we're going to add on our mid hackle. So I've got, it's hot orange. So what I do is I break off the tip and expose a few fibres. And then with wax thread, I tie in at that tip. And do a few wraps and then bring those fibres back and tie in again. So you've secured the stalk down twice. Then just use the blunt end of your scissors. You start to taper those in and double that hackle. Okay, and for this size of fly and this hackle, I'll probably do, don't know, probably 3 or 4 wraps. Yeah, so after the 3rd wrap, or well, I know I've got 1 wrap left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the fibres to reduce the amount of excess that I'll have. Okay. I stretched it a little bit, so it'll end up being 3 1/4 wraps, but there we go. Okay, so secure that in with your thread, and then just run it up the shank a little bit out of the way, where you can then trim off your excess. Okay, so while your thread's up here, you can start tying in what will be your front body, which is going to be black floss. So I'm going to secure that in on top using the weight of the bobbin. I'm going to double this floss because it's quite fine. Secure it in at the top. I'm going to use more gold oval for the rib of the front of the body. And I'll secure that in underneath. Like that. Okay, and then again, just going to level out the body. Not as essential because it's floss, and then we're leaving plenty of space for the head. Get the rib out of the way there. Just tie in our floss. Twist your floss if it's starting to unravel or anything if you want. Okay, and this is just slightly shorter down the rear of the body. Trim off the excess and then follow it up with 2 or 3 turns with the rib. Okay. In fact, I'm going to try and do another wrap of that rib. And secure that with your thread. Trim off your excess. And then the final thing we need to do, there's no jungle cock. Okay, there's no jungle cock needed for this fly. Final thing we need to do is add on our front hackle, which is silver or just original natural badger. I'm using silver, but it's better for video really, nicer photo, but in reality I like the natural badger just as good. Just a wee bit more creamy. Okay, so I've waxed the thread and I've secured on the hackle as I did with the mid hackle. Bring those fibres back again. The stalks are a lot thinner on the genetic stuff as well, so you do need to secure it in. Make sure they're well secured. You might also need to do a few more turns as well. Okay, so let's keep wrapping that and touching turns going forward. Okay. Probably going to do one more turn actually. So again, just remove what I think will be the excess. Okay, and because I have plenty of space in the head here, what I can do is I can bring this forward, bring it back and secure it on top. Give me a more secure hold, but as well as that saved me on the scissors as well. Okay, then all we need to do is just build up our head for security. Okay, if there's any wee hackles going forward, just bring those back. Okay, and then using a whip finish tool, do as many turns as you like. And that is a very basic, very shrimp fly, but a very effective one. That's the orange and gold shrimp. As always, folks, if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button and comment below what you think. Until next time, thanks very much. All the best.